Hosts Greg Sargent, Senator Coburn, and Democratic Senator Dick Durbin got into a, quote, heated yelling match over cuts that Durbin thought would destroy Medicare. An anonymous aide told Sargent, Coburn came in on Monday and said, I want $130 billion. The conversation was heated. There was yelling. Durbin said, I am not doing this. That destroys Medicare. That goes even further than Paul Ryan. We're not doing it. For months now, Coburn has also been in a public feud with a member of his own party after he voted for the president's fiscal commission plan and recommended ending subsidies for ethanol, a position that conservative Grover Norquist called a tax increase. Norquist accused Coburn of breaking his Americans for Tax Reform pledge to never raise taxes in any form. Coburn has also recently come under the scrutiny of the Senate Ethics Committee for the role he played as a negotiator in former Republican Senator John Enson's sex scandal. Joining me now is Christopher Hayes, MSNBC political analyst and Washington editor of The Nation magazine. Thanks for joining me tonight, Chris.
Also member of a gang of one.
Gang of one. All right, Chris, two theories I have here. I want to start with the Senate Ethics Committee theory. As I've observed in the Senate many times, when a senator comes under the scrutiny of the Ethics Committee, he tends to then get very tight with his party on everything because he needs all the friends he can get. Do you see that as part of the dynamic with Coburn at this point?
Well, that seems plausible, except it's hard to square that theory, which seems a totally plausible theory, with the account from the anonymous aide, which again we can't sort of necessarily verify, which is that he was too far to the right, and that's what blew up the negotiation. So if the issue was that Coburn was going to come out and, like his vote for the presidential, fiscal commission and his sort of feud with Grover Norquist, if he was going to come out in support of tax increases, that would put him at odds with the Republican Party. But deep cuts to Medicare don't necessarily do that. So I'm not sure that those two things square.
But that's what I mean. I mean, he goes into a meeting where they're trying to find a bipartisan solution. He takes such an extreme Republican position that he knows everyone's going to say, no, we can't do that. That's crazy. And so he leaves the room as the extreme Republican, the loyal Republican, who's basically doing what Mitch McConnell would have done if Mitch McConnell walked into the room, and he walks back into the warmth of his Republican caucus, and everyone says, hey, Tom, good work.
Yeah, no, that seems plausible. I mean, I will say, having covered Coburn a fair amount here in Washington, that, I've always been struck by the fact that he really is a genuine ideologue. I mean, he's comported himself in that way in terms of his voting record. He is a hard right ideologue, and I actually have a kind of grudging respect for the fact that while his politics are terrible in my estimation, he never seems to be, particularly corrupt, and no more corrupt than sort of generally senators are by our sort of dysfunctional system. But Coburn does seem to kind of have a set of beliefs that he pursues, and they're, I think, in my estimation, again, terrible beliefs. I don't know if this is him sort of trimming his sails for those political purposes, but he has been someone whose record so far has been someone who does pursue what he believes in.
That would be corrupt unless he's negotiating agreement packages between senators and members of the senator's staff with whom he has had affairs.
That's right.
And
yes, outside of the mistress payoff
the mistress
domain
payoff
of corruption, I should say, an important parenthetical.
And has he finally gotten gun shy of Grover Norquist? That would be my other question. Did Norquist's pressure force his hand in this gang of six?
I thought the Norquist-Coburn showdown was really fascinating because, the existential core of sort of post-1985, post-1990 Republicanism is a singular fidelity to cutting taxes at all times, in all permutations. The taxes are always too high. They must be cut. They can never be raised. And this is the sort of ideological crusade that Grover Norquist has waged very successfully, with the thought being that you can squeeze the oxygen out of the welfare state if you do this long enough. And Coburn is someone who had the kind of he sort of had the sort of ideological validity to take that on, right? Which is to say, if you actually care about these other things, deficit, debt, and spending, then taxes have to be on the table. And I think Norquist winning this signifies the fact that that is still the dominant catechism of the Republican Party.
Grover Norquist, most powerful man who does not work in the White House.
Yep.
Chris Hayes of The Nation and MSNBC, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Still to come.